Good evening everyone, my name is Calvin Russell from GoSimplyPro Credit Consultation. This video is about why you should buy a multifamily unit building. Okay, this is also known as real estate investing, or of course in Chicago they call them a 2-unit, 3-unit, 4-unit, or sometimes they call them like flats, a 2-flat, a 3-flat, or a 4-flat. So the point of this video is to talk about why you want to even consider buying those types of buildings. Okay, of course, when me and my wife were looking, my wife and I, when we were looking for our first home, we were debating between if we should go with a single family home or a multi-family unit. Okay, a single family home is just like your traditional home, right? It's just, one family lives in there, right? Well, supposedly, right? There's enough space. But there are some people that look to buy multi-family unit buildings, which is very common in the Chicago area, as well as, any state or city or whatever. But the difference is that instead of your family just living in one particular space, then the multiple families can live in the space, and that's where they have their own floor. So of course there's kitchen, there's bathrooms, there's bedrooms, living space, things of that sort, right? And some people may refer to them as apartments, but it doesn't have like an apartment feel. It feels more like a home because you're sharing the backyard, you're sharing the front yard, and either way, we were considering this because it was, we looked at it as another way to make additional income. Okay, and so I'm going to go over pretty much why you want to buy a multi-family unit. Okay, so the first reason: everyone needs somewhere to live, right? My barber once told me many years ago, their hair is going to always grow, well, at least for a long period of time, right? And of course, after once they get bald, but they still need to get, shave and things of that sort. But his point is that hair is going to always grow. It's the same thing, with real estate or paying rent, or for that reason, paying a mortgage. People are going to always need somewhere to live. Okay. And if they're going to need somewhere to live, you might as well be on the receiving end of that. So that's one thing to remember. People are going to always need somewhere to live. Okay. Number two, is that you can make money each month. All right, so let's say, for example, we'll just keep the numbers really easy. Let's say you buy a 2-flat building, so that's a 2-unit building. Okay, that means you and your family stay on one floor, and your tenants, they're going to stay on another floor. Okay, to make the numbers easy, let's say the mortgage is, let's say, $1,000. All right, and then if you charge that tenant, let's say, $1,000 a month, you have now just covered your entire, you just not necessarily your entire living expense, but you've at least covered, the mortgage itself. Okay, if you've covered the mortgage itself, now you got a couple different things you can do. One, you can save up the money that you're saving, because now you don't have any necessarily living expense. So imagine, what could you do if you saved $1,000 a month, right? You could probably put some away for vacation, put some away for other things. But either way, that's an additional $12,000 a year that you would be saving. Number two, you can pay down the existing mortgage. So instead of just paying the mortgage of $1,000, you can pay $1,000 as if you're going to pay it anyway, and then of course the additional income that you're getting from your tenants. So in essence, you're paying $2,000 a month. And if you're in a 30-year mortgage term, then of course that'll drop that down to 15 years. Okay. Then of course another reason, I guess an idea that you can have, or another reason that you can actually use that money, another way you can use that money, is that you can take that income and then use it and save it towards the next building. Okay. Of course, now this is something that we thought about doing, and when we did the math, we said, okay, if we can probably buy a building every 3 to 5 years, and that's exactly what we did 3 years later. Okay. And then of course the third reason why you want to buy a multi-family building is because it's a smarter way to retire. Of course, I'm a millennial, born in 1988. So a lot of the older ways of retiring, whether it's going going for a pension or Social Security, then I won't say that it's not stable, but it's not a lot of money. And I think what a lot of people do is when they retire, they start condensing their lifestyles as they're getting older and as they're condensing their means and such, right? The problem is that if you're retired, this is when you actually have that time to actually enjoy your life, right? And of course, my goal is to do that well in advance, but we're talking about the average person. The average person, they're not able to do something like that. They wait until they get like 55 and they just try to do is what they can. But if you look at going into this route, then let's say, for example, you buy the 2-flat building, okay, like we talked about before. The mortgage is $1,000. You have the tenant; they pay $1,000 rent, right? Even if you just pay it like normal and you just take the money from the tenant, and then of course you use that to pay the mortgage. If you do that, let's say you're 30 years old, right? And by the time you're 60, which is around that retirement age, right? That building will be paid off. So if they're paying $1,000 a month, now that's an additional $12,000 a year. So if you can now take maybe 2 or 3 vacations a year now. You can now save that money and do something else with it. You can pay down, cars and things of that sort. That's if you have one building. What if you moved out and then of course you now have that other floor and now you rent that other floor out as well? The same exact process. You charge $1,000 for the first floor, $1,000 for the second floor, and now you're making $2,000 a month. That's $24,000 a year. Guys, that's one building. What if you had 2 buildings? That's $48,000. What if you have 3 buildings? And the numbers keep going, and it's really up to you. And the banks will give you, the money and things of that sort. But again, I just wanted to let you know why it made sense to me to do it that way. Everyone has their own different reasoning, but down in the link below, myself and 2 of my good friends, we all tell our story. My story, I was able to buy my first income property, multifamily, building, and it's a 2-unit. How I was able to do that by the time I was 25, okay, even though I had a repossession on my credit report. Another friend of mine, he was able to purchase an income property with while graduating college, and that transition from college to of course a full-time job, but he still had that low income as a college student. How he was able to get approved for his multifamily unit. And of course my other friend, how he was able to buy his first income property, and even though his student loans were in default. And that was the first building. And then we talk about how we bought our second building. So in that link below, you will find out exactly what we did to buy 2 properties. All of us have 2 buildings, all right, and before we were 28 years old. And this is just the beginning. So I'm telling you that a lot of people talk about real estate investing and things of that sort, and I'm not knocking the ones that do. The thing about it is that it's easier to kind of translate the information if you're talking to someone that has done it versus someone that's just speaking in theory. Theory is great, but I can tell you based on the examples, based on my own trials and tribulations, as well as my friends as well too. And you'll find that out in the audio. It's over 1 hour and 49 minutes long, so that's almost about 2 hours worth of recording, and it's an audio. You can download it. It's MP3 version, and so you can easily do that. The link is right below. But either way, I just wanted to go quickly and explain that why you should buy a multifamily unit building. Make sure you click the link below, to go ahead and get that MP3 for yourself, and also to make sure you subscribe as well too. Got a lot more videos coming. If you're learning something, make sure not only do you subscribe, but make sure you share it as well too if you think this would benefit someone. Thanks so much. Have a great day.